Good day. This is Tata Tranco Seba doing a video on Lucero and its importance in the Palo Mayombe religion. First and foremost, I just want to say that I do not claim to have the absolute truth. This being said, now Lucero is the first cauldron that you will receive once you go through the scratching ceremony. Now, I know it's an ongoing thing for whatever reason or not, that people nowadays get scratched, but they're not born with their Lucero at that time. So basically, what you're telling me is that you took an oath with your godparents in Ganga, but your spirit was not born with you in that day. Now, you should take that oath no matter what, regardless whether you're born with your Lucero or not, whether the trend is now. Regardless, whatever the case may be, you must take that oath in front of your godparents in Ganga because, for one thing, it's recognizing that you're a legit member of that Mulanso at that given moment, whether or not you move to another Mulanso or several other Mulansos during your lifetime. That's besides the point. And that in Ganga, it's also recognizing that you're a legit member of the Palo Mayombe religion because you just went through the important ceremony, the ritual of getting scratched. Now, Lucero is not as powerful as in Ganga, but please don't get it twisted. Lucero will fight and protect you against any spiritual attacks, evil eye, your enemies, whatever the case may be, and he would do it fiercely. It will open your paths just as quickly as Ganga can. Over the years, I've seen Luceros go after people in a extremely brutal way. That's why I always emphasize engayos during your first year. I'm emphasizing the fact that you should be working to learn the energy of your Lucero, his way of working, what works for you, what is not working, what are his likes and dislikes, to the point where hopefully if your energy and heart's into there and your mind, by the time that year is up, you're synchronized with that energy. And like I said, all things are possible. Well, Lucero, if only you know how to drive that vessel. It isn't I'm gonna get scratched, I'm gonna slack off, but since I'm scratched, the spirit's committed to do this for me. No, it doesn't work that way. You get in what you put in. Now, Lucero is so important. Now, a lot of Tata will argue this point, but I'll stick to my guns. Lucero is so important that without him, the Nganga will not walk 100% like it's supposed to. Yes, it'll work, of course. Nganga will always work, but it's not going to be 100% efficient because Lucero, it's its light, its guide. Lucero's the one that guides it. It opens the path. So whatever it is that you're sending that Ganga out to do, it's important that you synchronize it with Lucero. That's how important Lucero is. Like I said, I don't want to see no bad comments, whatever. Like I say at the beginning of the videos, I do not claim to have the absolute truth, but this is how I've always done it, and the people in my Rama have always done it. So, and it's always worked for every single one of us. So, to each his own. Now, I must emphasize that under no circumstances can you scratch anybody using a Lucero. So, if you were personally scratched by your godfather only using a Lucero, that scratching is voided. That is not a legit scratching at all. You can only get scratched You can only be born from that in Ganga. Because from that in Ganga is where that Lucero will be born from. Because it's simply that you cannot. The Lucero's not that powerful enough in order to conduct that ceremony. So, like I said, I'm sorry for those that went through that experience. But if you were scratched by only using the Lucero, that's not a valid scratching. Now, Luceros are excellent for cleansings, spiritual works, stuff like that. I mean, I'm telling you, to this day, I use my Lucero quite often, and my Lucero is a heavy hitter. It all depends how you are synchronized with that Lucero, how you know how to drive it, what patipembas, what ingredients he works extremely well with, and what to stay away from. And then when there's limitations, then you could go forward and combine him with Ganga. But for the most part, spiritually, if you know how to use the Lucero, there's nothing really spiritually that you can't accomplish when it comes to spiritual works. Now, let's talk about how people are mixing Lucero with agua. They're making offerings on a Monday. They're bringing toys and candy. The only thing you should bring Lucero, unless he's doing a spiritual work for you, should be candle, rum, and cigar for the most part. Like I said, if you're doing other things, then other things are involved. But for the most part, that's what you should be bringing. No candy, no toys. This is not agua. This is a whole different world. Now that we're talking about that, and no, those spiritual luceros, the ones that they call spiritual luceros, the ones that are made from coconut, simply isn't a lucero, at least in Palo Mayombe. I mean, I don't know where they're getting this idea from, but this is more like a modern thing because years ago, this was unheard of. Because let me emphasize that anything that's organic, which decomposes, which breaks down, will not hold the energy. It won't even keep that patipemba, that sinjo intact among the other secrets. So in essence, there's no receptacle for that spirit to be housed in. So there's certain reasons why we use certain materials for certain things. There's a reason behind everything. I mean, this religion it's also a science and alchemy and whatnot. So there's a reason, but yeah, that's what they call spiritual lucero. I don't recognize that, not in Palo Mayombe. Other people might recognize it, but like I said, to each his own. Personally, I'm telling you, I don't recognize it because that does not belong in Palo Mayombe. So stay humble and be kind to one another. Until next time, may Sami bless you and yours. And salam alaikum.